In this module, we will now turn our attention to conflict response styles. What this means is that when a conflict exists, people come together, the affected parties plus some mediators, to try and resolve the conflict. What do people do? How do they work? How do they get the conflict resolved is what we are going to be looking at. In order to be able to do that, we need to look at individual differences, because the more people that are involved, the more differences will exist. The fewer the people involved, fewer will be these differences. So let's see what these differences are. The first one is personality traits versus learned behavior. We are born with traits. Each individual has some inherent behaviors and characteristics, and some we learn along the way through experiences, through life teaches us what life teaches us, and through lots of means, through interaction, through even personally getting isolated, we learn certain behaviors. So what are those differences in learned behaviors and innate behaviors in different individuals? Next, we need to focus on relationship of disputing parties. The affected parties involved, does a relationship exist, or is there no relationship? If a relationship exists, the conflict may be stronger than when a relationship does not exist. And so these differences will play a certain role in resolving the conflict. Then, of course, there are gender differences. Are the parties made up only of males, only of females, or is it a mixed party? If there are only males or females, it may be easier to resolve compared to when parties are mixed. That means you have some male members and some female members. The different genders bring their own perspectives to every situation. Next is past conflict experiences. Have these people been accustomed to dealing with conflicts? Have they solved conflicts constructively and successfully in the past? Or have they not been able to do it? Those kinds of experiences will also bring about differences among the people involved. And finally, there is the conflict response style, which simply means that each individual has a predominant style of trying to resolve a conflict, and when that person is involved, he or she will try to use that particular style, because that's what that person is all about. So let us now see what these conflict response styles are. The first one is the sage. This is the wise man. A sage has wisdom, and so this individual is the problem solver. This individual wants the problem solved, resolved, done away with. This individual looks at it from a win-win orientation. Both parties involved should be successful. Both parties should mutually agree, negotiate, compromise, and come across to a positive solution. Cooperative problem solving. This individual is not going to do the problem solving on his or her own. He is going to involve the team. He is going to get other perspectives and then come up with a problem solution. Emphasis on preserving relationship and meeting own goals as well as that of others. So this individual, because of the wisdom that this individual supposedly possesses, he wants the problem resolved mutually with both parties benefiting, and he also wants the relationship preserved. It's not that, okay, we resolved the conflict, from now on we don't talk to one another. That's not the kind of solution a sage would be interested in. The next one is the diplomat. This individual is goal-oriented. This person has objectives, aims, goals, and wants to achieve whatever those goals, aims, and objectives may be. This individual has a compromising orientation, which means he'll walk a certain distance, but the other party will also need to walk a certain distance, and they will come to a compromise on what the solution or resolution to the conflict should be. This individual will use persuasion. This individual is a good persuasive speaker, is a good negotiator, and will try and solve the conflict through persuading the other party to believe or understand his or her perspective. Emphasis is on relationship and each other's goals. So both ends are met here too. But here, the goals of the two parties are met and the relationship is also preserved. The relationship to the diplomat is as important as it is to the sage. They want the parties to leave on talking terms, not leave as enemies who are not going to talk from this point on. The third type is the ostrich, and this is the individual who avoids. This individual is going to try and keep as far away as possible from starting a conflict, and if he is involved in a conflict, he is going to take the back seat in terms of resolving the conflict. He is going to avoid. He is not going to be part of it. He will let the others come in and do whatever needs to be done to resolve the conflict. This leads to a withdrawal orientation. This individual withdraws himself or herself out of the conflict situation, out of the conflict resolution situation, and actually quits. He is willing to admit, I want nothing to do with this, I'm not interested in this, I'm out of this, and as a result, spends his time complaining to others. When others listen to the complaining that this individual does, they also are not interested in this individual being around. Because as long as this individual is there and keeps on complaining, they are not able to focus on their resolution practices and exercises, and it takes them more time. So they are also happy to see this complaining individual leave. So you see, if you are just there in the process to complain, nobody's interested in you. And so the ostrich really becomes an outsider in the process. Overemphasis is on preserving relationships. Because the ostrich decides to step out, the other party or the other individual automatically becomes the winner. And so the ostrich makes sure that the relationship between the two individuals is maintained. There is no mutually acceptable solution because the ostrich has already stepped out. The fourth type is the philanthropist. This individual is focused on accommodating. He will do or she will do whatever sacrifices are needed to accommodate what the other individual or the other party is trying to say. So their function is that of smoothing and conciliation. They will make sure that the way is smooth, whatever hindrances arise are taken care of because they are willing to accommodate. Make space for the other individual's opinion, for the other individual's point of view, for what the other individual thinks. So here, there is really a very high concern for satisfying needs of the others. So this individual puts his or her needs behind and looks at the needs of the other individual and tries to make sure that those needs are met. And the last one is the warrior. This is a win-lose orientation because this individual wants to win at all costs. If the other party loses, he doesn't care. He is not considerate of how the other party loses. He wants to win. And so this individual is seen as a potential problem creator. This individual will create more problems along the way instead of actually trying to resolve the conflict. By asking questions, by taking people on sidelines, detracking individuals, that's what this person will do. And the focus is on the individual's own goals. What is in there for me? This individual is focused on himself, herself, not interested in the others. He wants to win for himself at any cost. So these are 5 different ways in which individuals respond to conflict. And these are rather inherent. You are predominantly one of these 5 types. You don't want every individual to be of the same type on the resolving table, because then nothing will get resolved. You want individuals of different types to be part and parcel of the resolving packet, and hopefully the conflict will be resolved in an amicable manner.